Imagine this. You finally accepted an offer on your home and you're already dreaming about the next chapter, and then boom, the appraisal comes in low. And suddenly the whole deal is on the line. In today's video, we're diving into how an appraisal works in Michigan and the surprising ways it can derail a home sale. This is one of the most misunderstood parts of the home selling process. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to expect, what to avoid, and how to move forward with confidence. So let's get started. Let's clear something up first. An appraisal is not for the seller or the buyer. It is for the lender. The bank wants to make sure that the home is worth what they're lending you. That means the buyer pays for it, but the lender hires a neutral, licensed, third-party appraiser to provide an objective opinion of the value. And the key word there is opinion. An appraisal can be very subjective. As a seller, you can choose to get a private appraisal, but it's not going to get used in the deal. They're commissioned appraisal because they need an unbiased view of the property's fair market value. The appraiser visits the property and inspects the size of the home, the condition, the layout, the upgrades, and the location. They also pull comparable sales or comps of similar homes nearby that have recently sold. In Michigan, appraisers must follow strict guidelines and are licensed through the state of Michigan's Department of Licensing and Regulatory Affairs. And that's exactly where I get my license also. And here's where it can go wrong. If your home doesn't stack up to recent comps, or if there's deferred maintenance, work that was not done with permits, or unusual features, it can bring in a low appraisal. If the appraisal is lower than the agreed purchase price, the lender won't loan the full amount on the home. And there's about 4 options that you can use to get through this. The buyer can bring more cash to the table and make up the gap. The seller can lower the price. They can do an appraisal rebuttal, or the deal will die. And in a market like Michigan, where prices can swing by neighborhood, season of the year, school districts, and even subdivision to subdivision, this happens more often than you think. And the highest price offer is not always the best offer. This is why a good local agent is the best person to work with. We understand the nuances of each neighborhood. As a seller, your job is to make that home shine for the appraisal, just like you did for the showing. So this means fixing any visible damage or wear, having a clean and uncluttered space, making a list of upgrades with dates and costs that you have done to the home, ensuring that the appraiser can easily access all areas of the home. I ask the sellers to write on a list of the current updates and maintenance items that they've done in the last 5 to 10 years. This is to highlight key items and support our value. It's professional, helpful, and totally allowed. Some appraisers like this and some disregard it. I always leave it because most of the time it is very helpful. For buyers, an appraiser can protect them from overpaying. It also gives you negotiation power if the home doesn't appraise. But the downside is a low appraisal could kill your dream deal. Even if you just love the home, as a seller, the appraisal can confirm your pricing is solid, which is great. But even if the buyer is willing to pay more, the lender will not allow it unless the buyer brings cash to closing. That's why smart pricing and presentation matter more than ever in this kind of market. A buyer can contest an appraisal. It's typically called a Reconsideration of Value, or an ROV. This process involves requesting the lender to review the appraisal and potentially adjust the valuation based on new information or evidence that the buyer provides. Here's a more detailed breakdown. A Reconsideration of Value, or ROV, is a formal term for challenging an appraisal. It can also be called an appraisal challenge, an appraisal dispute, or an appraisal rebuttal. This term refers to the discrepancy between the appraised value and the sale price. It can be used when a buyer is providing evidence to support a higher value. The seller can't dispute the appraisal because the buyer paid to have it done. It needs to come from the buyer. In essence, the process involves the buyer presenting evidence to their lender that the appraisal was incorrect or undervalued to reconsider the valuation. This can include providing comparable sales data, evidence of property improvement, or pointing out errors in the original appraisal report. For example, if a buyer believes the appraisal was low due to the appraiser using incorrect comparable sales, they can provide their own comparables to support a higher value, but I try to mitigate this by providing a comparable package and list of updates when the appraiser is in the home. The lender will review this information and decide whether to accept the ROV and adjust the valuation. Lenders work with more than one appraisal company, but unfortunately, a buyer can't order a new appraisal. Just because it didn't come in the way you wanted doesn't mean that you can get a new one. The only way to remedy it is to accept it or to cancel the loan and go to another lender. And this means starting over, and the outcome may end up being the same. Also, if a loan is an FHA loan, that appraisal sticks with that home for 6 months. Every buyer with an FHA loan uses that appraisal. A good appraisal is very important. The appraisal might feel like a scary wild card, but it doesn't have to be. With the right strategy, preparation, and guidance, you can navigate it successfully. If you're selling or buying in Michigan, I have other videos that you might like, and I just did one on private inspection. Check out that one next. And don't forget to get your free seller's guide, and I'll see you on the next video.